Hey, church family, thank you for joining us for today's Daily Devotional. We're going to be continuing once again our look at Ephesians as we are kind of looking at how forgiveness plays such a major role in relationships. And as we get into Ephesians 4, just to kind of let you know, we have been looking at sort of these different sins that kind of represent selfishness within ourselves. And surely selfishness can mess up relationships, especially relationships that are already kind of messy or on the rocks. And so Paul has just kind of named a few of those sins. Yesterday we talked about how lying, or the day before yesterday, we talked about how lying is a sin and how that can be detrimental to relationships and how we need to seek forgiveness in that. Yesterday, we looked at anger and how anger is, according to James 1:20, is we cannot be righteous and be angry. But we did look at how we can be righteous and be angry. Anger that is not, once again, selfish. Anger that is not self-serving, but anger that's pointed toward injustices in the world. And so today we're kind of continuing in that theme of these selfish sins that can harm relationships, those that are around us. And Paul is kind of hearkening back to who we were before Christ as he jumps here into Ephesians 4:28. And so what it says here in 4:28 is, let the thief no longer steal. Instead, he is to do honest work with his own hands so that he has something to share with anyone in need. So once again, the beginning of 28, let the thief no longer steal, kind of reminding them of, hey, you are a new creation. No longer do you do the things that you did before. And so perhaps even as you look at yourself, maybe you stole before now. Maybe you've stole little things, candy bars or office supplies or whatever it may be. And so those things, that stealing, that it should end once we become believers. But maybe it's not stealing. I mean, it could be anger, like what we've already talked about, or lying, or holding a grudge, or jealousy. I mean, there is just a plethora of sins that exist that we are to put away whenever we become a new creation. And really at the center of those sins, at the center of stealing, is selfishness. It's this desire to want what you want for yourself, no matter who it hurts. And I think that as believers, one of the first things we've got to do, if we're going to push these sins aside, is we've got to, when we become a new creation, to push away selfishness. That as we fight selfishness off, as we push it out of our life, many of these other sins will begin to fall away, because at their center is this desire to take care of yourself no matter what happens to everyone else. And so surely, if we are selfish people, we need to seek forgiveness in those relationships around us where that selfishness has affected it. You know, we need to chase after making that right. We need to humble ourselves, because ultimately, a heart of selfishness does not reflect the heart of God. And so you even see the heart of God here as Paul ends that second part saying he should work with their own hands to take care of anyone in need. You see this complete flip. They were once selfish and stealing what they wanted for themselves, no matter who it harmed. And now Paul is saying, now you are not selfish. And so you work with your own hands to give something to someone because they're in need, whether they deserve it or not. And so that's kind of what our target is today. We need to be sure that we push away selfishness and ask for forgiveness in those relationships where we've been selfish. Our author gives us a couple of questions to work through, and they are, why is it necessary to repent of sins to follow Jesus? Why is it important to repent of these sins that kind of made up who we were before Christ, in order for us to follow Jesus? And the second one is a question that's really specific to stealing, as we talked about it. Why is stealing such a serious offense? And why are we called to be generous? I hope you will wrestle with these questions. I really hope you'll wrestle hard with that question of why are we called to be generous? Why do we need to be generous as Christians, especially in this time right now when there's so many who are struggling. There's so many who don't have what they need, and many of us who do. And so why is it important for us, especially right now, to not take advantage of others or care for our own selfish desires, but to be generous to those around us? Church family, more than anything, we want you to know that we love you and we're praying for you. Thank you.